Hey buddy, good evening. Jeff, aka GCurse here. Welcome to a GCurse Reacts. If there is something you guys should know about me, it is that I am a fan of professional wrestling. I've been a fan of professional wrestling since just before Summerslam 1992. That's right. It's been what, 40 years roughly? 92 to 2002, 2002 to 2012, 12 wait, 92 to 2002, 2002 to, no, about 30 years. God, my math is off. It's Sunday, my bad. Anyway, I've been a fan of professional wrestling since just before SummerSlam 1992. That was the SummerSlam that had Ultimate Warrior versus the Macho Man Randy Savage. And it is actually not, they weren't facing off. That was WrestleMania 7. I'm sorry. They were working as a tag team, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I've been a fan of wrestling for quite a long time. I'll be honest. Since my time was kind of like during the end of the golden era and in the beginning of the new generation, as they like to call it. I actually like the new generation, but then again, I am what you would call like a smart mark. Basically, I understand how the business works and everything, but I still find a lot of enjoyment in what I see. And whereas a lot of people shit on something, I'll be like, I'll laugh, if I see something that makes me laugh, instead of these people who just really like to watch wrestling nowadays as a way to critique it and, just kind of be snobbish. I still like to watch wrestling just to watch wrestling and have fun. Well, I've been pretty busy today, and during one of my breaks, I saw that Cultaholic released a 101 greatest tag teams ever video. I figure I would, this is like over a 2 hour long video, so I'm not going to do the whole, react to the whole video all at once. I figure I'd break this into like chunks, every 10 entries basically. So this is going to take at least 10, if not more, depending on what I'm feeling up to. At least 10 entries, and I was going to start with the very 101 and go from 101 to 91, and I'll give you my thoughts and everything. But yeah, so let's get the lighting correct, shall we? So let's do this. Let's see here. What do I want to go with today? Let's go with TV time. Bam. It's a nice bluish color. And then let's start with this one. There we go. And yeah, I actually like this color. I use this color a lot when I'm like playing Call of Duty multiplayer by myself. I'd like to have a little bit, like a bluish purple color. Even though the camera picks up as blue, it looks like it's a bluish purple. But anyway, so let's get ready with the react right about now. Okay, so let's do it. 3, 2, 1.
Team wrestling doesn't always get its due, but has long been an important part of professional wrestling around the world.
Now, I actually love tag team wrestling. When I was really impressed when I started really research wrestling when I was younger, and I looked into the whole golden age, like in the 80s for the WWF. They had a lot of tag teams that I really liked. I liked like Demolition. There was a Killer Bees. There was Demolition, Killer Bees. There was Strike Force. Oh God, let's see, one other one. Not the Quebecers. It was the it's the one that had the guy who became the Mountie. I can't recall their name right now. But anyway, so let's see what tag teams are actually on this list.
Best professional wrestling tag teams ever. Join us. Number 101, The Powers of Pain.
Okay, I'm kind of shocked that Powers of Pain ranked 101. I thought that they were actually pretty good for the short amount of time that they were actually in the WWF.
feuding, the Barbarian and the Warlord came together in 1987 and arrived in Jim Crockett Promotions like a force of nature. The Road Warriors were natural adversaries and the two teams feuded for months, their matches typically of the snug, no-frills variety. While the Powers of Pain didn't win the NWA Tag Team titles, they did, alongside Ivan Koloff, bag the six-man straps by beating Hawk, Animal and Dusty Rhodes. After refusing to work dangerous scaffold matches, Barb and War
I feel when it comes to this, the whole controversy of scaffold matches, I feel that no matter if they win or lose, the people who had to participate in scaffold matches should be paid like 10 times more than they normally would be, because you're being put way up there on a scaffold, and there's a chance of legitimate injuries. Look no further than, oh god, what, a New Jack versus, oh god, I can't recall that guy New Jack threw off of the scaffolding back, I think it was in Florida or something. I can't recall what federation it was. It wasn't ECW, it was a different federation at the time. But yeah, I feel that if you're putting your body at massive risk by being way up there, you should be paid like 10 times more, yeah.
Warlord went to WWE and feuded with the Bolsheviks before engaging in a series with tag champs Demolition, a series which saw a double turn when Mr. Fuji left Axe and Smash to join.
I actually remember renting that VHS for Survivor Series. I rented it from Hollywood Video, and I saw what was going on. In the beginning, I thought for sure that this was like that they messed up the script. But come to find out, this is actually the way it was supposed to be. Mr. Fuji betrayed Demolition and ended up joining the Powers of Pain.
The new boys in town. They never won the WWE Tag Team titles either, but they were well protected, rarely losing and looking impressive in matches with the Rockers and the Hart Foundation. They split in 1990, later to reform elsewhere, including as the Super Assassins in WCW, but their best work was in the late 80s and sneaks them onto our countdown. Number 100, the Dream Team. A pretty random union between two mid-
If I remember correctly, I think they were in one of the early WrestleManias. I can't recall if they were or not.
By August, they had become WWE Tag Team Champions after beating the US Express in Philadelphia. The Hammer and the Future Barber had little glitz about them at a time when the rock and wrestling era was in full flow. Valentine was there to methodically and viciously chip away at opponents with a very basic and rugged style, while Beefcake was a meathead who took his cues from his more experienced partner. They had some very good matches with the likes of Ricky Steamboat and Tito Santana, the Killer Bees, and the Fabulous Rougeaus, but their best opponent
Fabulous Rougeaus, that was a tag team I was trying to think of that I remember when I was doing my research of professional wrestling in the 80s.
Opponents were the British Bulldogs. Fittingly, the Dream Team's 226-day reign with the gold ended at the hands of Dynamite and Davey Boy in the best match at WrestleMania 2.
So they were at WrestleMania. It was WrestleMania 2. I actually think that this team the concept of these two wrestlers could have made a good tag team if they were in their prime today. I always think that there could be room for a good brawling tag team. I think that every federation needs to have a good brawling tag team, more than one if need be.
A year later, they would break up, cutting short a run that felt like it had a lot left in it. The less said about the new Dream Team, with Brutus replaced by Dino Bravo, the better. Number 99, the Major Players. The pair of IRL besties, Kurt Hawkins and Zach.
Major Players was these two guys. They were the guys who looked like that were supposed to be the team for Edge, basically, like the Fall Guys.
Of tag wrestling and are quite a bit better than many give them credit for. After teaming on the indies, Hawkins and Ryder, as the Major Brothers, did their time in WWE developmental before being brought to the main roster, where, after a brief spell as jobbers, they were soon made Edge's edgehead interference runners. Their association with the Rated R superstar gave them the opportunity to work with other top stars like Rey Mysterio, Batista, Ric Flair, and The Undertaker, and their impressive performances convinced WWE to make them tag champs at the 2008 Great American Bash. It wasn't an especially long reign, but it put them on the map and laid the foundation for their 2019.
I can't recall the guy's name now. Not Zack Ryder, but the other one. I can never understand why they never gave him a decent push. I mean, like, they made it, the gimmick that he literally had was the guy with like the longest losing streak, if I remember correctly. It wasn't until they put him and Zack Ryder back together in 2019, as you can see here, that basically they then decided, okay, well, we'll start letting this guy win. Why wasn't that this guy could or Kurt Hawkins? I think that's what his name was. But why could they not allow him to win before this? You know, like there are wrestlers who should be jobbers, and then there are jobbers who should actually be like winners and everything. And to me, Kurt Hawkins was a guy who should have been winning a lot more matches than they actually had him win.
Reunion, by which point they were much more polished pros and popular enough to get a second bite at the tag title cherry, winning the belts on the WrestleMania 35 kickoff show. It was another short reign, after which they became jobbers to the stars, but they got a chance to redeem themselves somewhat for Impact and on the Indies. Number 98, the Dynamic Duo. They were only together for a little over a year and only teamed in one territory, but the team of Chris Adams and Gino...
Oh god, Gino Hernandez. If you watched Dark Side of the Ring, I think, yeah, it was Gino Hernandez, if I remember correctly. I think he ended up dying. I don't think it was murder. That was Dino Bravo. But Gino also passed away, if I remember correctly. Here, let's do some quick research, shall we? Okay, let's see here. Wait, hold on. There we go. Okay. You know her. I think it was like a heart attack or something, if I remember correctly. But he passed away. Or let's see here. Death. Let's see. Death on February 4th, 1986. Concerned with Wolf's well-being, two WCCW officials, David Manning and Rick Hazard, and several local police officers broke into his Highland Park, Texas condo, discovering Wolf's decomposing corpse. Ugh. He had been dead for approximately 3 to 4 days. Initially, Wolf's death was ruled a homicide case, but following autopsy reports, his death was ruled a result of cocaine overdose. Oof. Yeah, that's the thing about the 80s. 80s was really seen as like excess and like drugs, you know, and that's sadly the way it was at that time. So it was basically a drug overdose.
Hernandez lit world-class championship wrestling on fire in 1985. Theirs was actually the second iteration of the Dynamic Duo.
For some reason, when I saw Dynamic Duo, I originally thought Dynamic Dudes. That was, oh god, that one guy that is Vince McMahon's best friend, Laurinaitis, and oh god, oh god, he was in ECW. I can't recall his name. Shane Douglas. I was thinking of Dynamic Dudes when they originally said Dynamic Duo. I'm like, what the fuck?
Brothers, who they squared off with many times in front of molten hot crowds. One of those was the famous double hair versus hair match at the second WCCW Cotton Bowl extravaganza, which they naturally lost to Kevin and Kerry. The Dynamic Duo were reigning as world-class tag champs when they split up. The resultant feud never got a chance to play out, as Hernandez sadly passed away just days after their first singles match. Truly, if their tag work was any indication, that feud would have been magic. Number 97, the Moondogs.
Okay, I'm going to take a quick break. I gotta refill my bottle of water. I should have done it before I started recording, but my throat's getting a little bit dry. I'm just going to pause recording and I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. I got some water. So let's continue on.
There were various Moondogs over the decades, but the ones we are focusing on today are those of 1980s WWE fame. Rex and Spot were a familiar presence on WWE cards during that era, entertaining crowds with their wild appearance.
I think they were in one of the earlier WrestleManias, if I remember correctly. I can't recall if it was the full team of these two, or if it was just one of them. But I think one of them was in or at least hopefully both of them was at WrestleMania. When I hear the name Moondog, I actually think that as long as they just don't have a name attached to it, but like just leave it Moondogs. I think if you don't have a name of a specific wrestler attached to a name, it could actually carry through, be time, not tied to one time. I guess you could say it could traverse time. I guess is the best way to say it. Like Moondogs, you could have Moon. I think Moondogs would, another once again a big brawling team could do good like in NXT, for example.
Appearance, shaggy hair, beards, and cut-off jeans, and zany antics such as chewing the bones that they brought to the ring. They were dedicated to the gimmick and delivered a quick chemistry, with Spot replacing Moondog King and slotting in seamlessly as one half of the WWE Tag Team Champs. They were unconventional and didn't even try to have great matches, but they put on a show for fans and became very popular, ensuring that they received opportunities elsewhere, such as the Continental Wrestling Association and later on with Smoky Mountain and the US.
I think sometimes, as long as you're entertaining, you don't really need to have that much talent when it comes to being a wrestler. Sometimes just being, able to connect with the audience, I think that is something that a lot of wrestlers do not do now.
Number 96, The Eliminators.
Oh God, Perry Saturn and John Cronus. Holy shit. If I did some research recently of John Cronus, and come to find out, apparently it sounds like he was not that well liked, according to Wikipedia. Let's see, let's do this. According to Wikipedia, hold on, let me get go. It sounds like he kind of burned bridges, because when he died, like, I think only one professional wrestler attended his funeral. See, John K-R-O-N Cronus. Yeah, here we go. I think only like one wrestler attended his funeral, and it wasn't even it wasn't even Perry Saturn. Let's see. He was found dead by his fiancee Brandy in his fiancee Brandy Laundrie's home in Laconia, New Hampshire on July 18, 2007. Several days after undergoing knee surgery. He was 38 years old. He died in his sleep. According to an autopsy, his death was attributed to heart failure resulting from an enlarged heart. He was survived by his 9-year-old son, Gage Christian Caiazzo. His family stated that Cronus had a history of heart problems and that he knew he could die at any time. Former tag team partner New Jack was the only ECW alumni to attend his funeral, which is sad. You would hope that in this industry that you would make some friends, and that they would come to your funeral. And only New Jack went to his funeral. Ugh. It's good. It's a good thing not to really burn that many bridges if you have a chance. Okay, let's do this. Okay. Yeah, I am a fan of. I never saw these two guys tag team in ECW. I should really start looking it up. For me, ECW was something I started really following. I don't want to say really following, but I became more aware of it during the whole crucifixion angle that Raven did to Sandman. At that time, I was still really in WWF and WCW, with ECW being kind of more relegated to VCR or VHS tapes that we would trade around, or if you were lucky enough, you could find videos on the real early internet back when it was still basically like the Wild West. But yeah, I'm a fan of Perry Saturn. That guy was not treated the best when he was in WWE or WWF, or whatever you want to call it.
In the early 1990s. The pay was low and the conditions far from glamorous, but working for the USWA gave the Eliminators valuable experience and their first set of tag team titles. Further experience was gained in the Japanese War promotion before they joined Paul Heyman's Extreme Championship Wrestling. It was in ECW that Saturn and Cronus would become cult favorites of the Philadelphia faithful, who appreciated their mix of high flying and strong style. Akin to the ECW equivalent of the Road Warriors, the Eliminators Eliminators were a tattooed, menacing and stocky pair that were just waiting for the chance to take some poor sap's head off with their awesome total elimination finisher. Matches with the Pitbulls, Rob Van Dam and Sabu, and the Dudleys stood out, and the two won the ECW tag team titles on 3 occasions. However, outside the ring, the two grew to loathe each other, and Saturn accepted an offer from WCW, forcing the Eliminators to disband.
Maybe it's just me, I will openly say, like, if, like, when I'm not working, like, Monday through Friday, when I'm not working, when I'm off the clock, I am a total introvert. I'm a loner and everything. With that said, I would like to think if I was a professional wrestler, I would try to make as many friends as possible, it, which is kind of sad because right now, I like being by myself, but in that industry, in the professional wrestling industry, it seems like you would want to have as many friends as possible that can have your back. That way, if something bad ever happens, you can have somebody there for you to have a shoulder. And it just seems that Cronus, Cronus just did not get it, I think.
Number 95, Private Party. With Mark Quinn.
I have not watched AEW recently. I got rid of my cable internet or cable TV subscription or package or whatever you want to call it right after my mom passed away because she was the one that really liked having television. Me, I only really watched AEW, to be honest, and I just didn't. I cannot justify spending like $100+ on cable television just to watch one product. So I can't really say I know that much about tag teams unless if it's like already an established tag team. So I don't really know much about Private Party.
Torn pectoral muscle and missing a year of action also didn't help matters, but they reformed in 2024 and started regaining their lost momentum. The renewed push led them to a rekindled feud with the Bucks and a nice full circle moment as they beat Matthew and Nicholas Jackson in a banger to win the AEW tag straps for the first time. Watching Quen and Zay these days, one suspects that there's still a lot more to come from Private Party. Number 94, Mr. Fuji and Toru Tanaka. Professor Toru Tanaka had
I'm going to go on record and say at heart, I like the heels more than I do the faces. I think it takes a lot for a wrestler to be able to make somebody hate them. And Mr. Fuji, I don't really know that much about Toru Tanaka, but Mr. Fuji, my God, he did his role awesomely. He got people to hate him. And I think it takes a lot for you to make somebody hate you more than like you, basically.
Reign with the gold saw them defend it in major matches, including a very famous outing against Sammartino and Pedro Morales. They left WWE in '74, but soon found success in the Georgia territory before going back to WWE in '77, where Classy Freddie Blassie guided them to their third set of tag titles. They left the company again after they dropped the straps and had short but fruitful runs in other territories before disbanding as the decade grew to a close. Not bad for two men who reportedly weren't especially fond of each other in
I don't understand. Like, it has to be something like that. They just that they start growing apart because they're on the road so long and that they have to work with each other. It always amazes me when you hear these stories of tag team wrestlers that just did not like each other. Like say Cronus and Saturn, a couple entries ago. It really goes to show how well performers these people are that you think, oh, they must be like that. They must like each other. They're tag team partners. They must like each other. No, apparently these two guys hated each other. Cronus, Saturn did not like each other. It's like where I would really like to know where it went wrong for these tag teams.
Real life. Number 93, the Killer Bees.
WWE
imported
the 1980s. I love the 80s because it had like the biggest tag teams around. Like it was just like enormous the amount of tag teams that they had.
Jim Brunzell, aka the Killer Bees, a name that Brunzell came up with, FYI. High-flying and athletic, the Bees had a style completely different to everyone else in the division and got over big thanks in part to their masked confusion gimmick that would see them pull the old switcheroo on unsuspecting heels. Flair and Brunzell were energetic and fun to watch and had a series of vastly underrated matches with the Hart Foundation. When in there with other bigger opponents, they played their underdog role well and got the crowd behind them. The fans may have liked them, but according to Brunzell, Vince McMahon did not, and they had a definite ceiling in the mid.
Of course, that's one thing. Besides the fact that Vince McMahon has done heinous things throughout his life, it's like how he can just arbitrarily be like, you're going to go far. People like people that he tried to push down everybody's throat. For example, like early Roman Reigns. Oh my God, he spent 5+ years trying to force the audience to like Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, you're gonna go far, but wrestlers who have who had massive talent, like Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to call him, he was held down. It just pisses me off that he can literally look and kind of destroy careers just because he doesn't like somebody. You're going to go far. Oh, these two guys, these two wrestlers, this tag team who has, who is getting over with the audience. Oh, fuck that. No, you're not going to go anywhere. Zack Ryder, he got over on his own. Oh, fuck that. Let's hold him down. I do not like that mentality.
Card. The Frank Tunney Sr. Memorial Tag Tournament winners split up in '88 and were subsequently almost forgotten about when they really shouldn't have been. Number 92, the Texas Outlaws. Before he was the beloved American Dream, Dusty Rhodes was a despised rebel who...
I could never, because it's like the first time I've heard of this tag team here. I never could imagine Dusty Rhodes as being a heel. Dusty Rhodes always seemed to be that kind of person that you always just figured was a lifelong face. Now that I'm saying that, I sound kind of stupid because if I remember correctly, wasn't Dusty Rhodes in the NWO? I think it was like the late NWO. Hold on, let me check. Yeah, I think it was in the NWO. I think it may have been really a small stay, but still he was in it. Dusty Rhodes. Oh God. Let's see here. Let's see here. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. NWO. Let's see here. Dusty was originally on the set of WCW when it's Battle of the New World. Sabisco. Hall pointed to Rhodes. I revealed an NWO shirt, so I was right. He was in the NWO. So now I feel kind of stupid saying, "Oh, I imagine him being a lifelong face," but he did, join the dark side every now and then, it sounds like.
Wreaked havoc with his fellow Lone Star statesman Dick Murdoch. The Texas Outlaws were a pair of wild renegades who caused as much mayhem outside the ring as they did in it, the tales of their rowdy behavior the stuff of legend. Inside the squared circle, they rose to prominence during the late 1960s and early 70s, wrestling for territories around the world. Not a lot of footage from this era has survived, sadly, but the little that has happens to show the Outlaws in full flow and confirms that Rhodes was adept at being a bad guy before it became impossible to boo him. As for Murdoch, he was always an effective bad guy, and his brainbuster finisher was one of the deadliest in the biz. Dick and Dusty collected gold in the early 70s, including a 143-day reign as NWA World Tag Team Champions, before going their separate ways at the decade's.
I miss the territory days of professional wrestling. the way I view it now, I may be wrong, but for a tag team to be able to get a tag team belt and possibly go from territory to territory, defend it and keep and hold on to it, that should really say that the promoters in various territories really respected those tag teams and liked them enough for them to hold on to the belts.
Midpoint. Close friends in real life, the two men would reform as and when the occasion called for it, and last teamed together in 1988. Number 91, The Good Brothers. Some of you may scoff at the idea of the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson.
I don't know what Vince, and I sure as hell don't know what Triple H or Paul or what do you want to refer to him as. I don't know what they were thinking. They had a brawling tag team here, and they just didn't utilize them correctly. Honestly, they utilized AJ Styles slightly better than they did these two guys. It's like why would you hire a tag team that has such a pedigree, like championships that they've won and everything? Why would you hire a team like that and then basically kind of make them a running joke when it came to like when they were feuding with the Usos? Because if I remember correctly, wasn't it the Good Brothers that ended up doing that stupid fucking Usi Hot or whatever it was called? Let's see here. I think it was the Good Brothers. And I mean, I remember seeing that and I thought it was fucking stupid. Okay, let's see here. Oh, here it is. The others. Like Usi Hot, I think that's what it was called. Usi Hot. See. Oh, jeez. Okay, apparently not. Okay, let's try. Let's do a C Hot WWE. Ah, here we go. Oh no, it's a revival. It was a revival. I thought it was the Good Brothers. I'm not going to show it because I don't want to get my video blocked because WWE is fucking pieces of shit when it comes to blocking and everything. I thought it was a Good Brothers. So apparently it was a revival. That was my bad. My bad. Okay, let's switch back over to this. But still, I think that this tag team was not as utilized as well as it could have been.
And Luke Gallows being considered one of the top 101 tag teams of all time. But where some fans see a perhaps dull duo who they claim to be mediocre in the ring, we see a solid pair of hands that have flirted with greatness and have a trophy case of titles and other accomplishments as evidence of a productive decade plus together. Forming in New Japan after the Machine Gun...
You can put... People, down the road may watch this video and be like, you just said that they were not utilized well, but they had a belt. They won the belts in WWE. You can win belts, and it really doesn't. It will not carry you. Look at like the Major Brothers. They won the belts, and shortly after, they lost them again. To me, nowadays, belts are seen more as props and nothing to really be, at least in WWE. In WWE, belts I look at the belts in WWE and I see them more as props and not actual championships.
Regular partner Giant Bernard left to return to WWE, the Bullet Club members tasted instant success by winning the 2013 World Tag League and then the IWGP Tag Belts at Wrestle Kingdom 8. They held them for a full year, lost them, and then had another short reign. Along with New Japan, the Good Brothers worked for Ring of Honor and various other indies around this time. Signed by WWE in 2016, Gallows and Anderson had a 4-year run that, though underwhelming overall, yielded 2 reigns as Raw Tag Team Champions.
I'm not the only one that thinks that they were not utilized. They just said it here. It was underwhelming.
Good work for Impact, New Japan, and on the Indies led them back to WWE, where sadly they weren't able to show half of what they.
And once again, I blame this time on Triple H. It's like, what the fuck are you thinking? If I remember correctly, weren't these guys supposed to be Triple H guys? It's like, how could Triple H... It could be said that them not being utilized properly the first time around was Vince's fault. But if I remember correctly, and these guys were Triple H guys, how could Triple H literally drop the ball when he originally saw what Vince was doing? It's like real severe blindness, if you ask me.
Capable of before they were once again let go. It remains to be seen if they can rebuild their reputations the hard way.
Okay, everybody. So that was this little chunk of. Actually, let's switch back over here. Hold on. That was this little chunk of. Where is my camera? There you go. That was this little chunk of the 100 greatest tag teams. This was entries 101 to 91. We saw some tag teams such as the Major Brothers. We saw the Killer Bees. We saw Powers of Pain. And we saw the Good Brothers. And we saw some stuff in between. I will do another entry which will cover 90 through 80. And I'll probably be doing that sometime this upcoming week. It'll give me something nice to do besides your typical DSP react videos. Unless he does something really fucking stupid, But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you liked this little chunk of this larger overall video. And I will see you for the next installment of the 101 Greatest Tag Team React. And I'll see you next time. My name is Jeff, aka GCurse, wishing you all a great day. Stay safe, everybody. Peace out.